with your picks, the winners and the losers, all that good noise, all that funness. We got an early game this week. That's right. I'll wake up early, turn the TV, watch a little football. And we got some 2015 quarterbacks that would get you excited. If we went back 10 years, this game would be something. That's right. We got the Minnesota Vikings playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course, we look at the quarterback matchup first. We try to see what that looks like to try to get a good idea of what's going to happen because this is a quarterback driven league. If you don't have your quarterback game on point, it won't make a difference. So, what we got is a very interesting game with Carson Wentz going against Aaron Rodgers. That's right, the 2015 flashback of good quarterbacks. And this one's interesting because you won't dare call Carson Wentz a good quarterback. You won't say it. He's not good. He's not that guy. But as a backup, he's one of the better ones that you can possibly get. Shout out to Bucks, Rays, and Bolts. Good morning. Good morning to you too. You excited for this Vikings Steelers game? Because you know your boy is. You know your boy gets pumped and excited for early morning football. And this is going to be an interesting one. We got the Vikings 2.5-point favorites at home or on the road. This is in Ireland. I got to remember that. And it's technically a Steelers home game. 2.5 favorites should be about right. So you're looking forward to the Bucks and Eagles game. It should be a good one. I'm excited to talk about that one. Baker Mayfield is starting to be in that dark horse MVP kind of conversation, something to get everybody a little bit excited. They're starting to put it all together. Like, how are you going to denounce this Bucks team? But they're going against the Eagles, and the Eagles can't even find a way to lose a game, it seems. Is no matter how much they're down, how much they're out, the Eagles are a feisty Super Bowl champs for a reason. Let's call it what it is. We understand what it is. Good teams win football games. I like the Buccaneers as the upset, though. You heard it here first. Do not be surprised if the Buccaneers are the team to hand the Eagles their first loss because the Eagles have not been playing extraordinary football. The offense has struggled clicking. Weather factors today could be. I would, if it was a little bit later in the year, I'd factor in weather a little bit more. Because, it's not freezing cold in Philadelphia just yet. It's not quite the drastic temperature change. And let's be honest, Tampa is warm, it's hot. You get beautiful sunshine and all that good stuff, but it's not Miami hot either. What's it going to be in Tampa today? Maybe 88. It's probably 20 degrees warmer than what they're looking at. Who's winning the Super Bowl this year, in your opinion? I've got the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. I think we see the Detroit Lions play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have had a rough start this year, but if you look at teams that go without their first and second wide receiver, it's not a heck of a list. Hell no. What's your Super Bowl opinion? Let's hear that, Mr. America. That feels like 103 today. This seems high. I am in the Tampa area, so I am familiar with the weather. 103 feels a little warm today. I think that feels, I don't think it's supposed to get that quite high, but that is a factor. The Bucks are used to playing in this temperature. starting to get a little cooler to Buccaneers players, Bills and Rams. That's an interesting matchup, and the Rams are a slept-on team. The Bills are a legitimate chance. I think the Bucks have a great chance. The Bucks could make it. I think they're guaranteed a playoff spot. If we look at the Buccaneers, they're gonna make the playoffs, and anybody that makes the playoffs can be in the dance. And that's the same with the Bills and the Rams, right? Like you're seeing it with them. But I have trouble picking the Bills over a team like the Chiefs until they can actually do it. Until we start seeing the Chiefs not go to a Super Bowl is when I'll stop picking them. That's when the end of the run comes. And I have trouble looking at the Bills lineup and saying that when healthy and when the Chiefs are completely healthy and without suspension with Rice, that it's going to be a better team for Buffalo. Same with the Ravens. The Ravens are right there too, though. The big three from the AFC are always going to be the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, while these quarterbacks are doing what they do. If the Bucks win today, deserve to be the champion. I mean, this is still a regular season game. Ain't no Mike Evans. You gotta point to that too. Mike Evans is a 1,000-yard guy. Let's be completely honest. Anytime you're missing a 1,000-yard wide receiver, that is a factor. And like you said, Baker Mayfield is underrated. That's fair. The Chiefs earned that. Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm saying. Until proof's in the pudding, and as I like to point out, this is a quarterback-driven league. So you do need a solid quarterback. And while I do think the gap between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes is really splitting hairs, besides really that X factor that Mahomes seems to have to win. You can look at the multiple 13-second games, all the comebacks that he's had in his career. He tends to be that guy. I remember watching Mike Evans carry Johnny Football at Texas A&M. Look, Mike Evans is, he's going to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and most people, struggled to put him in the top 10 the last 10 years, even though he's done nothing but be that guy of consistency, especially if you take a look at his quarterbacks. If you look at the quarterbacks that he's had to deal with, Mike Evans is just, he's a highly underrated wide receiver, in my opinion. It reminds me of scary Terry McLaurin. We told people last year that Terry McLaurin with a decent quarterback is going to be a real threat. All he does is get 1,000 yards. We've seen him as the 20th ranked wide receiver going into the season last year, and it was just laughing at it, And Mike Evans is another one of those guys that does nothing but ball out, does everything you want him to do, even with inferior quarterbacks. It's not even a wide receiver is good when he takes a bum quarterback and looks amazing. Look at what Tyreek Hill did with Tua. Tua is not a good quarterback, but he was able to put back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons with an inferior quarterback. And he argued that the Chiefs were sandbagging him to prevent big paydays. And it kind of looked like that case once he got down to Miami. Justin Jefferson revived Sam Darnold. Yeah, Sam Darnold's looked okay in Seattle. He's not the worst of looks for him, but yeah, Justin Jefferson, pumped steroids into his career, gave him, and Sam Darnold probably owes Justin Jefferson $10 million. If we're going to be completely honest, if they're splitting up the bank, you got to give your boy a few bucks, because without him, he probably would have been just another backup quarterback somewhere. Let's be completely honest. He would have been at best in a Daniel Jones situation, or he's trying to get a spot, should write JJ a check. I'm telling you, it should be and it should be a fat one. Like especially as much as quarterbacks get paid. Like he did get fraud, and like he really fumbled the bag at the end of the season and in the playoffs. So there's not much you can do about that. Like he probably cost himself 20 mil, but Justin Jefferson definitely gave him a few dollars in the bank account. This statement game for the Bucks today, win or lose, does game matter? No, it's still a regular season and still early in the regular season, right? So like this is definitely not a make it or break it game for the Bucks. And to be honest with you, with the way the NFC South has been looking, can we really say there's a make or break game for the Buccaneers all season? Like, unless we start seeing catastrophic injuries in the Buccaneers, this is kind of a coasted season, thankfully, because of the competition in the division. That what are you gonna? The Falcons aren't going to contend for the NFC South. They're going to be a feisty team. The Panthers aren't it. The Saints aren't there. The Saints are the worst team in football, just about. Just about. Like, it's hard to. The only way the Saints got bailed out of being the worst team in football is the Bengals losing Joe Burrow. Like, if it wasn't for that, they would have that number one spot, but luckily slid to number two. I don't think there's a situation in which the Buccaneers do not make the playoffs. Ooh, go Packs, go. Look, that's another team that I think is an underappreciated team when we start talking Super Bowl contention. I think the Packers are starting to, they did get kind of fraud checked last week. I will say that. That did make me kind of take a step back. They started to look like a real dominant Super Bowl potential. We have a tough road ahead of us. Bird is the word. I'm guessing what that's supposed to be, Jameis Western. We have a tough road ahead of us. Yeah, I mean, there's no, even when you look at like bad teams, the Saints, the Bengals, there's no easy game in the NFL, right? Even though I do like to call some of them better than buys, playing the Saints is better than staying at home. You get to stay in football shape, you get good competition, all that. The LA Rams should have won last week. Yeah, it blew my mind. Was it 24-7 before the Eagles started making a comeback? And even their comeback, if you look at the Eagles' comeback, it was not full of just like blow you away football. It was really the Rams fumbling the bag. I had questions going into last week if the Rams defense could be like the Chiefs defense and hold the Eagles for 4 quarters, really limit what they could do. And they did a great job in the first half. They did exactly what they needed to do in the first half. Limit what the Eagles can do, slow down the run game, do all that, and next thing you know, they just let the Eagles win. How many games can the Buck win the next 5 weeks? Well, where are you at that it's so sunny? I'm in the Tampa area, so it gets pretty bright here. Sunshine State and all that. And the sun's just coming up, perfect angle. It's another 20 minutes, and I'll be not having to worry about having sunglasses on because the sun's just trying to blind me. To pull up I need the next 5 games. I did the Bucks preseason predictions, but I'm not. I don't have their next 5 games off the top of my head. Let's go on today's list, though. LA Chargers, New York Giants. You got to like the Chargers in that one. The Giants are starting their rookie quarterback instead of Russell Wilson. That's not going to go very well, but it'll be in it. Live in Tampa, too. Amazing. Yeah, what's the next 5? Oh, nice. It's kind of overcast in Titletown right now. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That sounds about right. You know, it's probably still slightly. It rains there a lot, don't it? Eagles, Seahawks, 49ers, Rams, Lions. Ooh, that is kind of a tough five, right? So the Eagles is kind of a coin flip. I think the Buccaneers could win, but we'll go ahead. We'll call it a loss just in case. Be conservative. I think they beat the Seahawks. They should beat the 49ers. The 49ers are banged up. Is that in Tampa or San Francisco? Because that's a long way to travel. The Rams is another East Coast game. That could be a coin flip. That is a tough five. So I would say worst case scenario, you go 2-3 in that stretch. But I think you should go probably 3-2. I don't like the Lions and the Eagles worry me. Maybe the Rams too. In Tampa, yeah. If it's in Tampa, I like that in Tampa a lot better for the 49ers. Like they got to travel. The weather's not going to be a factor for either team because both are in warm states. But from going from west to east, that's the time difference is always kind of funky for you too. Give me the Tampa Bay over the 49ers in that game. So I think worst case scenario 2-3, and I would hope for like a 3-2, 4-1 over the next 5. That sounds about right for Tampa. Let me see. Is there anything 6-point spread for the Chargers? I'm just gonna take the money line. I don't really like. I'm not a spread bettor very often. Detroit Lions playing the Cleveland Browns with a 10-point spread. We do this every week with the Browns. We do this every week with the Browns. They're not losing by 10. They're losing. They're going to lose this game. But the Browns have a killer defense, and people do not want to talk about it. People do not want to talk about the Browns being a top 5 defense. Bills locked, Lions locked. I bought subscription for the early, and I watched NFL HD. I can highly recommend it for you guys if you're on work or just don't have TV around you. Screen variety. There's plenty of ways to watch football games without paying for it. I haven't paid to watch a football game. I think ever. I can't remember a single time. The internet has provided different ways to watch different NFL games. I'm actually a big fan of the NFL Red Zone. It's a great way to watch all the games. If my team is playing, I watch that game. But if it's not so my team is the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't play till 4:25. So like the 1 o'clock slate or noon if you're Central Time. I put on Red Zone so I can just keep an eye on all the games. It's a great way to keep it in. I think it's keeps you entertained. You can really see what's going on with all the games when you watch Red Zone. Let's see, Cleveland Browns 10-point dogs. That just seems funky. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm going to leave that one because even the minus 575 on the money line, just not enough juice for me to squeeze there. Like some funky things could happen and the Browns could end up winning. Like their defense can hold teams down. Philadelphia Eagles at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa, 3.5-point dogs. If you're going to give me Tampa and 3.5 points, I might just take the spread on that one. Even though I do like Tampa straight up on the money line, give you a plus 160. That's not too bad a juice. I kind of like that juice. There's a little bit to squeeze there. See, Saints at Buffalo Bills. Talk about a lock. Yeah, you want to talk about a lock. Whew. Yeah, that's free money. Minus 1450. Minus 1450. There's no money to be made. They took out all the juice. You're gonna have to take a. You're gonna have to get some points. Let's look at the. Let's see if I can get an alternative line on this one, because I feel like taking a 6.5 point spread on the Bills just to give you like I don't want to have to give up 2 touchdowns just to get even money. Just to get even money. But I do think they guarantee. I mean, it's the Saints. How do you not? They should. They should. 14.5. So more than 2 touchdowns. Find you a 9.5 point spread. Find a different, maybe even 8.5. That's what I would do with the Bills game. Find me a decent alternative line. Next on the list, we have the Commanders versus Falcons. Oh, Commanders versus Falcons. The Falcons should win this game with ease. 1.5 point favorites at home. They don't have Jaden Daniels for the Commanders. I think Scary Terry might be banged up too, or not out. I can't remember. Marcus Mariota did ball out. That was against the Raiders. The Raiders aren't a very good team. Give me the Falcons for the win. That 1.5 just doesn't. The Commanders going to upset the Falcons today? Because you would think the Falcons at home should have more than a coin flip. Because that 1.5 points is barely covering. I think they're saying Commanders are really 1/2 point favorites. Because they give you 2 points for being at home. Let's go Commanders for the upset. This is the Bold Sports Show. Let's get a little dice rolling. I think the Commanders upset here. Titans versus Texans. Texans 7-point favorites at home. And the Texans have disappointed all year. There's something going on in Houston. I can't put my finger on it. I'm not sure what it is. CJ Stroud is not that guy. I still like the Texans to win just because the Titans are trash, but maybe the Titans win this game. I'm not going to bet this one. There's no value at minus 400 if you're going to take the Texans money line. And the Texans don't seem to have it right. Eagles moved 2.5 now. Yeah, and that, I feel like, is it 2.5? I got, trying to encourage you to bet the Eagles, huh? Trying to get you to bet the Eagles. That line moving. That's what happens when you start telling them that Tampa Bay is going to upset. People don't want to know it. Right now I'm watching TV with, hey, what are you doing, an ad on someone else's stream? I don't even have enough people to be doing that kind of an ad. What kind of, you're kind of crazy. But I appreciate your dedication. Let me see, what's the next game? Colts. No. Panthers, Patriots. Patriots 7.5 point favorites at home. Give me the Panthers. The Panthers are going to upset. It'll make no sense. I'm not high on the Patriots. No, some people like them. Some people high on Mike Vrabel. It's just the Panthers can put it together when they're clicking right. And I see, it's a tough one. Go Panthers upset. Colts, Rams. Colts are 3.5 point dogs. I'm going Colts here. They're undefeated. It doesn't make sense right now. The Colts are undefeated. It doesn't, how, why, in what universe does this make any kind of sense that the Colts are undefeated and they're going to play the Rams? And while the Rams look like they can put together football, I think people underestimate how good these Colts are. Ooh, the Rams. I think the Rams fall in the bag. It is in LA. The Colts are used to playing indoors, though. It doesn't help them. Doesn't help the Rams. No, no. Give me the Colts on the upset. Jags versus 49ers. Ooh, can the Jags upset on the road? 3.5-point dogs. The 49ers just keep finding ways to win. Every excuse not to. Oh, I should not be picking the Jags. The 49ers have burned me all season. I'm going Jags over Niners. Ravens versus Chiefs. Chiefs 2.5-point dogs at home. Give me the Chiefs for the win. Isaiah Likely is back. Look, the Ravens. When's the last time the Ravens even beat the Chiefs? It's been a little bit. Now, that's not saying they can't get it done. But the Chiefs need this win way more than the Baltimore Ravens do. Give me the Chiefs at home. Do not take the points. Just straight money line. Plus 124. I like it. Can the Cowboys keep it close against the Packers? I want to say yes, right? We've seen what they did. We've seen what they looked like versus the Eagles. The Cowboys show glimpses of being a good football team. You get little sparks of it, little highlights. And as Jerry Jones said, it's not like we even won a Super Bowl with Michael Parsons. But you got to wonder, when you got Michael Parsons on the opposite team wanting to show out, do you really want to beat Dak Prescott? Do you really want to be that Cowboys offensive line having to put on your resume when you went against Micah Parsons going against the Cowboys who were unwilling to pay him? Do they keep it close? Sure, maybe. They want to. Jerry Jones really wants to prove this decision right. I think the Cowboys want to win this game. I think the point spread is 7 points for a reason. I think we got the Packers favored by 7 for a reason. I just don't understand what formula they use to skip on Parsons. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You don't pay Parsons, and maybe if you get lucky in the draft, you get a Parsons, but you probably don't. Like, let's be honest. It was the fact they moved on for this. They get everything they deserve. If you're that guy, yeah. Yeah, if you're that guy, you got to pay him. Ham is looking better. All right. Hey, from California, check that out. Shout out, Cali. You're up early. I don't know if the Packers, the Packers, the over-under this is 47.5, and I think they just want to win. I think the Packers go into the Dallas, and, if keeping it close is 7 points, then maybe, yeah. But even a 7-point spread for the Packers feels kind of safe. And I'm not a point spread better. I like the money line. I'm a money line guy. I preach the money line. And yet, there's 7 points in Dallas. Feels comfortable. I think the Packers are going out here to make a statement. And I think there's not a lot the Cowboys can do about it. I think you're stuck like Chuck. We got Bears versus Raiders. 1.5-point favorites at home for the Raiders. And somehow, some way, because it's Chicago, that feels safe. Chicago, yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders because of Max Crosby. Anytime you can pressure Caleb Williams consistently, he's not going to perform well. And the Bears are struggling to have any contention to finally have a quarterback hit 4,000 yards. In the history of Chicago, they've never had a 4,000-yard passer. Mitchell Trubisky was supposed to be that guy. Caleb Williams was supposed to be that guy. Nobody's ever going to do it because the Chicago Bears are trash. So give me the Raiders at home, money line. I'll take that. Even the 1.5 point spread's not huge. You can take the spread if you want. And again, we did the Sunday night football with Packers Cowboys. That's going to be a fun Sunday night football game. I'm excited for that one. And tomorrow night we have the Jets versus Dolphins. And the Dolphins are 2.5 point favorites at home. Give me the Jets for the upset. The Dolphins are trash this year, proving they're trash, stay trash, disappoint every opportunity they can. It's always been the Bears defense. Yeah, and they don't even have an incredible defense to be relying on. That's the crazy part now. Bengals versus Broncos. 7.5 point favorites for the Broncos. That's it. That's it. Only 7.5 point favorites at home versus the Bengals. I might look for an alternative line at like 8.5, 9.5. The Broncos probably win by 10 versus the Bengals. Look, Bo Nix is not a good quarterback, but the Bengals defense will make him look like one. The Broncos defense will give Browning struggles all game. The wide receivers for the Bengals don't care. The Bengals are going to miss the playoffs for the third year in a row. And I thought this was the year they'd make it back. I thought they'd finally get it done. Nope. We're going to sit here and look. Joe Burrow probably should be an MVP consideration because the Bengals went from a playoff contender, a team that should make the playoffs, to the worst team in football. The Broncos get to play the worst team in football Monday night. 7.5 points feels extremely safe. I'm going to go ahead and take the alternative line at 6.5 on that game. Just make it a 1 touchdown game. Make it close to even money and just laugh all the way to the bank. What kind of bird is that? I should know, especially since it's my bird. I think they call it cock something. My wife's better at the bird name. The bird is Lisa. That's all I know. Lisa the bird. I should know. It is bad. Let me see if I can't grab her real quick. No, she's going to be camera shy. She's just going to fly around a little bit. Cockatoo, cockapee, one of them birds. I'm not a bird expert. I ended up rescuing her, so I should know, but I just know she's a girl. She dropped an egg one day, and her name's Lisa. She's pretty chill, though. Little vocal sometimes, but pretty chill. Well, folks, that has been your pregame show. I am going to get ready for this Minnesota Vikings versus Steelers game, in which the Vikings will beat the Steelers. Hope you all enjoy your Sunday morning or whenever you choose to watch this show, and enjoy your day.